Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're here today. It's a little windy. I hope you can hear me. And we're here at Johnston Seeds in Dresden, and I'm going to meet up with the guy that looks after soybeans here on the seed side, and he's in the warehouse, so I'll catch up with him. So I'm here today with Mike Johnston, and Mike looks after, well, tell us what you do here, Mike. Some of us want to know sometimes.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Mike Johnston. I live in Rodney, West Lorne area. So I came over to Jackson's actually about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, and I work with Jared handling the IP business, which has now been rebranded to the Silverline. So I send out dealers send in their orders to us, and then I gather it and organize the trucking to ship it out to the dealers here before springtime comes.
So tell us about the IP Silverline business.
Okay, so we'll go back about a year and a half ago. Syngenta decided that they were going to drop out their IP lineup out of their portfolio, and they created a new company and rebranded it to Silverline Seeds. And Johnston Seeds was lucky enough to be one of the two companies now that solely produce, distribute, and grow the Silverline seed.
So, Mike, you talk about this IP stuff. What's IP stand for? What is that?
So IP seed is identity preserved non-GMO soybeans. So non-GMO conventionally grown, is not bred in the traits to be resistant to Roundup or dicamba or 2,4-D. So this is as bare boned seed as there is, no added traits to the seed. So buyers, overseas exporters like IP seed because you can trace it back to know that the seed was grown, was certified seed. You know where the farmer grew it, what pesticides he used on it, and where he sold it. So that's very important to them in their food chain to be able to trace that back and can pinpoint exactly where the seed and food came from.
And it's not genetically modified.
It's correct. It's non-GMO, not genetically modified.
So most of these, or maybe all of these beans, would be destined for the Far East?
Yes, yep, overseas, so Japan, China, all the Asian companies, sometimes to Europe, but mostly Asia is the biggest market where these IP non-GMO soybean seeds are sold to and eventually consumed.
And they'd be for like tofu or...
Yeah, tofu and miso and all that, those Asian dishes.
Which us over here in Canada, we're not big tofu eaters.
No, that's not on.
We're beef eaters.
That's not on your regular menu at Milestones or Moxie's. But yeah, we have an appetite for beef, and in Asia, their appetite is not so much beef, more the.
So they get their protein source from soybeans.
Yes, and that's so these IP and just regular non-GMO soybeans are higher in protein than crusher soybeans. So IP non-GMO soybeans have higher protein levels and lower oil levels.
Yeah, one thing we're finding too with growing genetically modified beans, you still have to use something like Sencor for some, like, as you know, Roundup has no carryover as far as full season weed control.
Yes.
You know, so you've got to use a conventional herbicide to get all season weed control.
Correct.
So really you're not, it's not a whole lot more spraying.
It's not. That's what I always say, and how prices are with the normal crusher soybean herbicides. You know, that gap used to be $25 or $30 an acre. Now I would argue sometimes it's $15, $20 an acre because of all the Roundup resistant weeds that we're dealing with on the crusher side. You're having to go in and spray 2 or 3 or even do a burn down and 2 in-season passes. So it is maybe not smart to say that it is a lot more work, because these days with the crusher and the Roundup resistant weeds that are out there, it's not too many passes, maybe one more pass, sometimes not even another pass through the field.
Pretty easy, the premium could be 200 plus per acre.
Yes, yeah, yep. So it's very worth, and especially this year, we've seen an uptake in IP seed this year, and I attribute that to a couple factors. There was less wheat acres that got in in the fall this year. It was a wetter wetter fall, so growers didn't get all the wheat in that they maybe intended on. And if you look back at the futures price back in January and February and December, when a lot of these sales are made and guys start to buy their seed for the next year because you get a discount for buying it early, the crusher price soybean futures was not that great. So there was a time in the winter where the IP premium was 40% of your cash price. So it was paying guys a lot more to grow IPs, go through a little bit more of work and hassle and paperwork, but you're going to get a lot more return on your investment with the premium being what it is.
And I think a few guys are growing a little less corn this year because the price of corn, it's not just the greatest.
Correct. Yes, we've had, just at the end of spring here, we've had a couple growers transferring out corn acres into IP acres because they saw a better return on their investment for that. And fertilizer price has not come down as quick as the corn future price has, so it is still a little bit more expensive to put corn in the ground.
So we're here in the warehouse. Maybe we'll take a walk through to the processing plant and show you how that's done.
Sure. Yep. On the way, I might just add a couple new things for Silverline. So Silverline, again, to reiterate, is basically just the old NK-IP line rebranded into this new name. So I like to say it's a new name, but it's the same genetics that you've come to know and trust from Syngenta. So we're very lucky here at Jackson's that Syngenta's still very involved in the breeding process for getting new lines of Silverline soybeans down the pipeline. So they actually have 3 new varieties, Silverline, that are available this year to be grown commercially by growers. There was only one that would really hit. Some of them are shorter day beans for Quebec and Manitoba. Some of them pretty long day. This one right here is a nice bean that hits right in the middle for anyone watching in Chatham, Kent. This would be a really great bean. It's S16B8. It's a 1.6 RM bean. It's a very good bean. So this is a new one, very exciting, that's grown first time commercially for farmers to grow this year. So it's a good clay bean, and we're looking forward to seeing this on some Lambton County acres and some Chatham Kent acres, and it'll go as far even as north of London, but it was grown a little bit more for this area. So Syngenta will continue to breed for new varieties, and then they'll let us know when one's ready to go commercial, and we'll decide if that variety is a good fit for our portfolio, and we can decide whether to take that in to our Silverline portfolio that Jackson sells, or pass on it because maybe we have other beans in that heat range that we don't see a fit for that in our Silverline portfolio.
One thing I learned on one of the trips that I had down to Arva, when Syngenta breeds a new variety, they're all non-GMO. Then they put the traits in, whether it's 2,4-D or Roundup or whatever. Yeah. But they all start out as non-GMO beans, and I did not know that.
I actually just learned that a couple years ago too. I found that very interesting, that every single new soybean potential bean starts off as a conventional, and then they decide if they want to inject the genes into it to make it resistant to certain herbicides. But every single new bean, whether it's a new fancy Roundup or dicamba bean, started as potentially could have been an IP, or it always are conventional beans, and then they breed into it any sort of traits.
Yeah, it could be a non-GMO spotted bean.
Yeah.
And end up as a Roundup bean.
Yeah. So every year there's potentially 1,000 new IP beans, there could be, but a lot of them get moved over to the Roundup sector because there's more of those grown than there is IP beans.
So the warehouse right now, we're really getting down on soybeans. We've been shipping hard for the last
5-6 months.
5 months, yeah.
We find that we like to ship beans as fast as we can out in the fall because the quality is the best right off the combine. If you treat them first, the germ is usually better than if you put them in the bin and bring them out in February and germ test them. So right from the combine in the fall and October, we start treating and packaging these beans, and any plain totes that don't need treat on them later in the winter, we want to ship those out to retailers because we think they're going to get the best quality, the best germ, and possession is 9/10 of the law. So if you get it in your warehouse and there's no issue about anything running out or not being available or anything like that. So we started shipping, I think the first Silverline load went out October 20th-ish, and we're still here April 23rd, still shipping out beans. So it's every day. Finley is shipping lots of trucks out of Jackson's with roundups and IP beans and corn. And
so this is our seed treating area and packaging area, and I think they're bagging right now. Maybe I'll get a shot of the bagging. One thing I want to go and we'll talk about this little treater. This is something new that we added this year. This is this is a small treater we have, and what we use it for, we'll process a lot of plain totes, and they can dump it in the conveyor. It goes up into the treater, up this other conveyor, back into another plain tote, or treated tote.
Yeah.
So
I think that this is used a lot for just small lots. If we're doing some testing, Al Sutherland here at Jackson's is very involved in research and doing different treatment trials and population trials and stuff. So I think Al uses this little setup a lot because he's just doing little small quantities of things with different treat and different sort of things. And then that way we're not plugging up the guys doing the big lots of treating. So this is our specialty treater. And then here's where we do all our big lots. So on the other side of those two drums is where the seed enters the treater. It goes around the drum and gets treated, comes down the spout. And then looks like right now the guys are bagging up some new age seed, which we can talk about that as well. But so right now they're bagging and sewing up the bags. And then we got this robot that does all the pallet stacking for us. It's a pretty fancy machine that stacks them perfect every time, and then you know that they're not going to fall over or be a messy stack job or something like that.
one thing, this guy that piles here, he piles just as good at 5 o'clock as he does at 7 in the morning.
He doesn't take breaks. He doesn't have sick days. He's the best worker.
I've never seen him drunk yet either.
We want to look at the treat room?
Yeah, we'll go down the treat kitchen. What they do here too is they can put 3 different tags on. We have a cartridge here that feeds the tags, and the tags are automatically put on the bag. Right now they're only putting 1 tag on, which is pretty simple, but they do put up to 3 tags on a bag.
Yeah. So the soybeans. So the soybeans can be untreated, so just bare soybeans in the bag. They can be treated with fungicide. They can be treated with insecticide and fungicide. And then a lot of the beans that go out, because we ship, majority of these IP beans are grown north and east of London. So a little cooler temperatures, and sometimes they need a little help to get it out of the ground. So we inoculate a lot of the beans that go out of here too. So 4 or 5 different treatment packages that the guys have to manage here. So it's a lot of teamwork done by James inside that organizes the lots to be shipped and tagged, and then the guys out back here need to follow those instructions and make sure there's no mistakes or mistreats or anything like that. So in my year here of shipping IP beans, I don't think there's been any mistakes. They do a really good job back here, and really good communication between James and Ryan back here, and they run a pretty smooth operation back here.
While I was standing here, I wanted to do a shout out to our maintenance department. We had a problem with this conveyor where we had to change the direction the bags were going, and this is what they came up with. This little pusher here that shoves the bag over. That works pretty slick.
And then over there is where they bag the totes. So it comes out of the spout there, and it's weighed and it's set to stop at a certain weight. And then that way we know we get 40 units in every single tote, and that's where they do the bagging of the soft tote bag.
We'll go in the treat kitchen.
the mad scientist lab here. So this is where we put on all the treat and inoculant onto the soybeans. So we use Syngenta products here to treat our Syngenta beans. So that works out really well. This is the computer system for setting all the treats. I won't pretend to know what we're talking about here. Like I said, Ryan and James have a really good system going on there. So they do a really good.
This is Ryan's area here.
This is Ryan's and James' expertise. I wasn't paying attention in that science class, I guess.
So what they have is 4 mixed tanks, and there'll be a different product in each tank, and they're on scales, and so they can keep track of exactly what goes on every bunch of beans.
Yep, it's a very technical process. You don't want to over apply and waste product, and you don't want to under apply. You just want a nice even, consistent coat of treat on those soybeans. So this is our kind of treat room, processing room. This is where James spends a lot of time, and where he sends away his samples. We send to the lab to get our germ tests done. So a lot of organizing done here. This is where we're dipping out of some bags for the provincial trials. You know, the Ontario Go Soy trials. We have Silverline Seed down in the Michigan state trials. So we just take some bags there, and sometimes they only need just a little Ziploc, 5 kg, 2.5 pounds worth of seed. So we're not always shipping big plot bags. Sometimes it's just little bags that we send away to be on the unbiased government trials. So those are good. So,
and another thing they do here, we keep a sample for two years.
Okay, yeah.
Of every lot of beans we do it, and every pail here represents a lot of beans, and usually a lot is 2,000 units as a rule. So if you can imagine how many samples of beans there is, there's a lot.
There's a lot of shipping to the lab going on. So yeah, so they'll send them away like this, and yeah, like Dennis said, we have to keep samples of all these beans for a couple years by law, just to go along with that IP, identity preserved traceability. So yeah, there's a lot of legal things you have to do with these beans to call them IP.
And I haven't went into the export plant. That's kind of another video, but they also keep samples there of every container, which could be 20 samples a day.
Yep.
And we keep that. If there's ever a problem, we have a sample, and the samples are all taken with automatic samplers.
Okay.
There's no human
bias.
Yes.
Yep.
And there's a tote right here. This is how we store our samples, in totes like this.
Labeled with the lot number and variety. And then when Mr. Robot gets done stacking his 40 bags on a pallet, then the guys will with the wrap here, they'll wrap it up nice and tight and label it, and then they'll put it on a row on the floor and wait until we can ship it out.
We'll go and take a shot in the plant where they clean the beans.
Okay.
I don't get here. Maybe you'll see after all this, you'll see why they call me the soybean man. Anyway.
So this is the big drum where the untreated soybeans will enter the treater. And then the rolling drum that treats it is covered back in the tin there. But this is where the beans enter to be treated, and then they exit colored in pink.
We'll go up and see the cleaner. I guess it's tarped, you can't really see it. This is our cleaner. The beans come in from outside, and this is all done automatically. Fills a hopper overhead. They go through the cleaner, and it's not running today, mostly because if it was running, you couldn't hear yourself talk in here. It's very, very loud.
Yes, very loud.
So our system is cleaner, gravity, destoner, electric eyes, magnets into the storage tanks. And from the storage tanks they go to either be bagged plain, treated, or treated totes.
Yeah.
Or plain totes. Well, maybe when we're here we'll go up and have a look at our electric eyes. This is our gravity separator. We have two of them, they're LMCs. And the heavies off of here go down into a destoner, which is only about 10% of the total production will go through the destoner. The rest of them won't need destoned. And this is our electric eyes. This is the third set in here. The other set used to sit the other way, but what they do, this machine lines the soybeans up in single file. Have you seen this thing run?
I have.
Noisy. The beans come down these little trays, and I maybe can't get that. Anyway, they line up in single file, and this machine takes a picture of every soybean. If it likes it, it leaves it in the flow. If it doesn't like it, it gets a little blast of air and blows it out.
Anything that isn't a yellow soybean. So if there's a hilum on the soybean, if there's a stone, a corn kernel that got in there, it in milliseconds time will just blow that out.
Hopefully the stones are out with the destoner. Yes. And the other thing this will do is if there's a piece of dirt on the soybean, it'll take that one out or whatever. All of our seed beans run over the electric eyes.
So not only do we package, process, and distribute Silverline IP seed, which Syngenta graciously allowed us to have the contract for that, we also do different lines of IP seed as well. We do OIC Brutons, which anyone can sell those if they'd like. And then we also have here at Jackson Seeds is New Age Seeds. So New Age Seeds is only 3 or 4 years old. It is also an IP non-GMO bean. It's grown and packaged here in Dresden at Jackson Seeds. We are the only retailer that sells, or processor, sorry, that can sell New Age seeds. And any retailer in Ontario and Quebec can buy New Age seeds from us to sell to growers. So this is an exciting new variety that Chatham-Kent guys would really like, and it's New Age, thinking it's going to be about a 1.2 relative maturity. So just for experimental sake, and you don't make up a name for it until you're really sure that that's a bean that you're going with. So NA 1.2 experimental is a new age variety that we are packaging here and can be grown commercially next year for growers. That's to go along with their NA 0.8, NA 1.8, 2.0, and a long day one, NA 2.7, which is a Chatham-Kent favorite. That's a longer day bean where only really around Chatham-Kent and south do we grow that bean, and it has been really a good bean for the New Age line. It's a high yielding bean, but it is late season, so if you got wheat to go in after, that's probably not a bean we're going to want to grow. But if you want to push the IP yield and see how high they really can yield, NA 2700 is a really good one. So like I was saying, this is one that'll be kind of right in between their shorter day bean and their longer day bean. It'll fit really well here for Chatham-Kent. A great bean to put in if you got to get some wheat in before.
And farther afield.
And and definitely north of London East here on Perth. So this is a new one that we'll be trying to get out in plots. Mostly, it's hard to get a new variety like that out on hundreds of acres in the first year.
There's not many of them available.
There's not many available also too in the first year, and we got to make sure that the end user has an appetite for that bean as well. So normally with these IP beans, to get them kind of started, the buyer has to buy in first. They're the ones that's going to dictate what the grower with all varieties, really, the end user is the one that's kind of dictating to the farmer which bean you're going to grow, which one they want you to grow, and what they're going to offer the best premium for. So we'll see if the exporters this fall like this bean, and if it grinds well for tofu and miso, but it should. All the new age ones.
What's the protein on these? Do you know?
These ones, I don't know on these ones yet. We'll see on this year, but all the new age varieties are high and ultra high protein beans. They're all 42, 43, 44%. So if it's a new age variety, I know it's going to be high protein, but I don't know if they've tabulated that exactly what they're going to average every year on the protein.
Great. Well, Mike, thanks for taking the time to explain the Silverline and the new age to us.
Yeah.
And I just thought it's a little bit different for us on the channel to come here, but I thought I would show everybody what they're doing. And if anybody wants to grow IP beans, we're definitely a buyer, as well as many other people. And we're not afraid we'll sell seed if, you know, somebody else is going to process it. What the heck?
Yeah.
It's a big market out there.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the reasons why Jackson Seeds got chosen to be a distributor of Silverline Seeds is we don't need the beans back. You can all these retailers, we're sending Silverline Seed in Ontario, Quebec, and the upper Midwest United States. They can all go to their processor of choice, their export elevator of choice. The beans do not have to come back to Jackson's. All we want to do is just get you your seed, and then the farmer can decide what export elevator in their area they want to deliver it to. So yeah, the Silverline Seed is, I tell farmers when I go to talks, I say, on the farmer end, you're not going to notice anything different from NK IPs to Silverline IPs. The only difference is you're going to be ripping a Silverline bag into your drill this spring instead of a Syngenta bag last year. So like I said, it's the same. And also it was really good on the Silverline, when they rebranded it to the Silverline name, they kept the naming structure of the varieties the same. So they're all going to start with an S, S12J7, S07M8. They kept the numbering system and naming system the same, and I think that was mostly to appease the exporters overseas. You don't want to change the name on them, get them confused, have to learn new variety names. You know, they know these names: SO3W4, 07M8, T5s. They know them for years. So it was really good that Silverline kept the old NK naming structure, and any new Silverline beans going forward, we'll keep that same sort of numerical numbering system going. So it's easier for the farmers to recognize and identify, you know, hey, that was a former NK IP bean. I know those beans and those genetics, and it's going to be a good bean for me to grow.
Great. Well, thanks, Mike. And if you've enjoyed this video, give us a like. And I know it's a little bit different, but it's what we do here at Jackson Seeds anyway. I'll catch you on the next one.